Mr Greiner told the gathering that New South Wales had lost the public relations battle to South Australia for the multi-million-dollar submarine contract.
It is certainly true that your local MPs, state and federal, have been notable for just stunning silence, rather than what I would have thought would have been upfront support and loud and vocal support, and indeed a loud and vocal argument that says the industrial relations record of Newcastle is in fact very good over the last few years.
Federal member for Newcastle, Mr Alan Morris, says this isn't a PR exercise and the people of this city are more interested in performance than waving flags. He says he doesn't believe South Australia's promotion of the underdog image will convince the Germans or the Swedes that that state is best equipped to handle the contract. Mr Morris says it's obvious that Mr Greiner doesn't understand the complexity of the problem and that he should butt out. The state opposition leader also lashed out at the Hunter and Lower North Coast Tourist Authority, saying that it's fragmented.
If we continue to have the sort of fragmentation that has existed up here, if you continue to have 46 or 47 people, or 37 I think it might be, on your umbrella tourist board, let me say the only organisation with more people than that on its main body is the state executive of the Liberal Party. And that is completely ineffectual. It is not surprising that your tourism efforts are bedeviled by having a body that degree of that size and that degree of fragmentation in it.
A statement released late this afternoon by the Hunter and Lower North Coast Tourist Authority says Mr Greiner's comments are incorrect. It says it enjoys great support and endorsement from all sectors of the region, and its recent successful launch of its marketing campaign is testament of this. This is how the 3801 limped into Newcastle 3 years ago, a poor reflection of the days when she was the pride of the fleet. The loco was built by Clyde Engineering in 1943, the first of a class that was designed to eliminate double heading and haul maximum weights economically at high speeds.
Which was the first to travel across Australia from east to west, and which for years brought the Newcastle Fire and Melbourne Limited.
As a masterpiece
Commissioned
of
in
locomotive
1943,
engineering,
hauling goods between
and she's best
Enfield and
remembered
Thurrool,
as the loco
was a
that
prime
hauled
example
the
then
Newcastle
of state-of-the-art
Flyer.
technology.
The 3801
Australia's first
holds
truly
the
international
record for the
standard
fastest
engine,
trip
which
between
eliminated
Sydney
double
and
heading
Newcastle,
and which could
a
haul
record
maximum
2
weights
hours and
economically
1.5
at continuous
minutes, she
high
set in
speeds.
1966.
The 3801 was retired in
It was for
1974.
those reasons
and the
the
restoration
3801 was
set up
singled out to be
50,000
saved.
get plugged in, being a great leap forward towards its $5 budget. Its restoration has been undertaken at the State Dockyard by 3801 Limited, a company incorporated especially for the task, planned to have it back to its former glory in time for Australia's bicentennial celebrations.
It'll be the only 38 class engine that'll be back in steam, and there's very little left of the rest of the fleet. I think there's only 2 engines left, or part of them left, at various museums.
Mr Sonicson says the project would have cost some $3.5 million if it had been undertaken by private enterprise. But thanks to donations gathered by the 3801 company, which leased the loco from the SRA, and the work of the 370 apprentices, the mammoth task cost less than $500,000. After tomorrow's recommissioning, the 3801 will become the SRA's flagship. She'll also play a significant part in Australia's bicentennial celebrations, travelling from city to city, reminding people about the era of steam.
We're one of the very few, if probably the only ice cream company that did show an increase in sales. The statistics show that the decrease overall was 5% down, whereas we were 10.8% up. And that itself has got to be very encouraging in view of the downturn that the sales tax caused.
So what you did was take business off other people?
Well, we did. We went into an advertising campaign that was unprecedented with this company. The suppliers, again, who own this company, saw fit to support us in this. And we were able to take that amount of business off the opposition. Hopefully we'll be able to keep it.
But while the Hunter Valley Dairy Company increased its share of the ice cream market in the face of all that opposition, that paled in significance to the increase in the share of the market it got in other dairy products, like cottage cheese, sour light cream, custard, and this other very popular line, Oak frozen fruit yoghurt. But despite all those good points to the story, for the very first time in many, many years, the Hunter Valley Dairy Company actually made a loss.
It's a fact to say, I suppose, that we did oversell our production capacity. We had to buy product from Victoria at certain times of the year, not right throughout the year, but only at particular times when we did run short in the valley.
We have a plan now, though, to ameliorate that problem.
Well, we are having discussions with another company, the Manning Valley Dairy Company at Torres, to be able to produce or to take their milk supply over the next couple of years with a view of saving us from going interstate to buy product. And our own suppliers in the Hunter Valley, we're hopeful that they will give us all the support as they've done in the past to make sure that we have adequate needs.
Surfest 86 transformed Newcastle Beach and its surrounds into one huge amphitheatre, filled almost to overflowing with an estimated 30,000 people, at least as many as were at last year's inaugural event. People took every vantage point on the action, from the far distance of King Edward Park to the grandstand viewing provided by Royal Newcastle Hospital. The sheer size of the event has stretched the city's resources and the organisers' skills. The city hotels were booked out well in advance. Finding parking was harder than finding the other end of the rainbow, and it was almost as hard to find a space on the beach. But everything went Newcastle's way this weekend. The waves were the best the international surfers had seen on tour all year. There was plenty to watch both in the water and on the beach. And like all international sporting events, there were a bevy of glamorous promotional girls. As a measure of the international interest in the event, BBC Sports reporter Michael Pesha, who is here with the English cricket team, took the time to interview Mark Richards and report on the surfing. Perhaps the most noticeable result of Surfest is that it created a whole new audience for surfing. People who'd never ridden a board were at the beach today enthralled by the action.
We're enjoying the day. It's marvellous, fantastic, very spectacular, very wonderful.
Does it inspire you to go out and get into the water on a board yourself?
I'd love to do that. Yes, I'd love to do that.
It seems Surfest will continue to grow, and for organisers their attention now turns to planning the 1987 event.
Yes, I'll see you sitting on 6 waves.
This is the most recent photo of Mrs. Amundsen taken at a family wedding. The frail, 83-year-old woman lived alone in the Central Coast township of Yamina. Police say the post-mortem revealed she had died from 5 vicious blows to the head, probably from a jemmy or crowbar. Police and neighbours alike are baffled as to why an 83-year-old grandmother living in this tidy house in this quiet street should be the victim of such a brutal murder. What sort of motive do you have?
It would appear to be a robbery at the moment, and inquiries are being conducted on that line.
So a robbery that went wrong. Has something gone missing from the house?
Yes, there is a number of property missing from the house.
The first police knew of the killing was late Friday night when they received a phone call from a woman using a false name. Mrs. Amundsen was found lying in the front hall of her house. Police say she'd probably been there for 2 days. It's a pretty quiet street. This is unusual to happen here, isn't it?
Oh, geez, you get no one. The only people you see here is people walk down to the bloody shop, the old people, and you never see anyone. No one goes down the street.
The quiet and popular retirement area has been shocked by the murder, with many elderly neighbours fearful they may become the next victims. The Lake Haven Shopping Centre is next door to Gorican High School. It It was opening day today, and the jam-packed car park told the story. Each of the 1,100 parking spots was at a premium. Since 8:30 this morning, crowds have been pouring in, some inquisitive and others snapping up the opening day specials. The complex cost $33 million to build, and has Kmart, Coles and Franklin's and Best and Less stores as major tenants. Also a host of variety stores, including this indoor cafe, which basks under huge skylights. The 21,000 square metres of shop space is all housed under the one roof. The retail trade it will generate is expected to bring benefits to this fast-growing area.
Jeff, at the end of the day, how many people do you think will have been through the centre? A rough estimate at this stage, we would say approximately 35,000, between 33 and 35,000.
It's a very big centre. Is it taking business away from the other many shopping centres in the district?
We don't feel at this stage that it will. There is a need in this area. Early indications, the discussions with a couple of other centres even early this afternoon indicated that business in those centres haven't been affected a great deal.
The coal export projection at the start of the last financial year, on which loaded charges are based, was 28 million tonnes. However, exports increased by only 6.7% to 26.3 million tonnes. Even so, this was a record figure. The port is also benefiting from a new vessel handling code which has been adopted by the Maritime Services Board. Under this, pilots are now trained to bring vessels into port and take them outside again under less than ideal conditions. In the past, it was daylight and slack water. But now, provided safety isn't compromised, it can happen at other times as well. The obvious advantage is that the capacity of the port is increased. In all, 6 million tonnes of cargo came into the port, mainly in the form of iron ore and alumina. Combine this with 30 million tonnes leaving, and the increase overall of 8.5% to 36 million tonnes is a record figure. But it's not just bulk cargoes which have improved. General or container consignments have jumped. While formerly they may have not been significant, they've now more than doubled. Aluminium production in the Hunter region has increased to more than 300,000 tonnes a year, and it's handled through the port of Newcastle. That in turn has brought more ships to our port, which in turn has increased our general cargo handling. The vessel behind me, the Hunter River, has just loaded 5,500 tonnes of Alcan aluminium bound for Japan. The Hunter River and her sister ship, the Pacific Grace, call in here every 6 weeks now to collect a cargo.
Under the scheme, new business ventures will begin in premises where all the amenities and services are shared. These would include secretaries, office equipment, and cleaning and maintenance costs. Management and business training will be provided by the organisers. The scheme should be working in Newcastle by the middle of next year.
The concept of incubator is that for a certain period of time, about 18 months, they will be in the premises with the view to being totally successful after 18 months, the need for expansion being there, and they then seek their own premises outside the incubator area.
It's a scheme that keynote speaker John Pearce runs successfully in Scotland. In the Glasgow area, 2,000 unemployed people are now working in 100 different business enterprises. The Glasgow scheme has a budget of $2 million Australian dollars. Glasgow was once a major shipbuilding and steel-making port. It's easy to draw comparisons with Newcastle, where Mr Pearce sees the program could be operated with equal success.
The idea of a community business is that local people in areas of high unemployment work together to try and create enterprises which they own and control and which create jobs for local people in those areas.
Already some $88 million a year is spent by tourists on the Central Coast, but the local Tourism Promotion Committee believes that can be boosted even further. They hope to achieve this by these commercials, which were produced by NBN and will be run on this station as a community service.
The Entrance Mardi Gras, December 6th and 7th.
Come on, we'll look after you, so make the most of your stay on the Central Coast. It's easy!
Basically,
Chairman of the committee, Leonie Fellow, says the two councils of Wyong and Gosford have combined their resources and energy to use the television medium for the first time for tourism promotion.
Hopefully, we will introduce the Central Coast to people in the Hunter region, people that really don't know what the Central Coast has to offer. Most of those people, I think, would tend to go north for holidays, and we'd like to see them come down south and spend some of their tourist dollars down here.
The Golden Knights are regarded as the most spectacular and finest parachute team in the world. Today they turned it on at the multi-million-dollar Lake Haven shopping centre at Gorican in front of a large crowd. They were joined by the Australian parachuting champion, Warrant Officer Laurie Sams, who celebrated his 4,000th jump. Warrant Officer Sams is a senior instructor at the Army Parachute School at Nowra and has represented Australia in the World Championships. For the Golden Knights, today's special exhibition was the first of 10 in this country. The United States team comprises a staff of 80 people with 2 teams who travel the world. 9 of those parachutists were involved today. They jumped from 4,000 metres from a US Army Hercules plane and performed a variety of tricks, including the flag jump and the candy pole.
There are 323 apprentices at BHP's Newcastle Steelworks, serving their 4-year terms in the areas of electrical fitting and machining, boiler making and turning. The first and second year apprentices took time off work yesterday to show mums and dads the skills and techniques that help manufacture the steel products. Also on show was BHP's latest additions to the apprentice training workshop. 4 computer-controlled production machines described as the most up-to-date models available. During the first year, an apprentice trains in basic trade skills and then moves on to normal production work. In the 3rd and 4th years, the apprentice specialises in their chosen trade. This year, Newcastle Steelworks appointed 88 new apprentices. Another 27 will begin in the new year. Feature the final masterpieces through a diversity of media uses. The exhibition represents major works by the 90 graduating students of the Bachelor of Arts and Bachelor of Education. The works are displayed along the college's main concourse and adjoining courtyard, as well as the art and ceramics buildings. They include sculptures, paintings and prints, fibre arts and textiles, ceramics, photographs and videos. Awarded Best Final Year Ceramics Student and an encouragement prize of $250 was Elizabeth Treadwell. Her works are highlighted in the display. The exhibition is open at the CAE until December the 2nd. The new $5.5 million Belmont shopping complex has the supermarket Franklin's as its major drawcard. When the development is completed, 15 variety stores will be built by Property Estates Limited. Last night, the centre was officially opened by the Mayor of Lake Macquarie, Jeff Pasterfield, and Centre Manager, Reg Randall. The complex forms a triangle with the company's other two developments in the region. The $7 million Cessnock Marketplace began trading earlier this month, and a similar complex will be opened in Maitland next week. According to the State Manager of Property Estates, the company has recognised the potential of the region and is planning to expand even further.
We're intending to make a major commitment to the Hunter. We've got the 3 centres, as you've mentioned. We've got another one opening probably by Christmas next year in Mayfield. And we've also opened an office in Newcastle quite recently to further other developments in the area.
Paul Eddington is having trouble escaping his alter ego, Paul Hacker, Britain's prime-time television Prime Minister. He says it doesn't matter where he goes in the world, his official duties follow him.
Wherever I go in the world, and I mean in the world, we sell it to 47 different countries, this programme. They roll out the red carpet and I'm treated like head of state. It's very pleasant, particularly as I haven't got the responsibilities that head of state has.
And so it was today with daughter Gemma. He inspected the Mooney Mooney Bridge in the company of 2 Australian ministers, the Minister for Arts, Heritage and the Environment, Barry Cohen, and Transport Minister Morris.